Yeah.
Right, everybody, sorry about that. Nicola's broken the computer.
I've not broken it.
So for some reason, it's not letting us go live on the At Home with the Fishers account on the PC. So we're going to squirrel around on the phone, which is pretty cool. But
live 27 seconds.
Anyway, we're here. So
live 31 seconds.
Get off At Home with the Fishers and get to the Blind Woodturner. So
38
sorry
seconds.
about that.
I'm just rebooting the computer to see if I can do anything, but you're going to have to sit there all night holding the phone.
Live 49 seconds.
Hi, Steve.
51 seconds.
Hello. Hello.
We're broken.
Live
We are broken.
59 seconds.
So, technology, eh?
Live
We've got
1
this
minute,
talking
8
every
seconds.
5 seconds now.
Live
I know, I've
1
just...
minute, 9 seconds.
Urch fab. Urch fab. Bloody Groundhog Day, tell you.
Yeah, I saw, I've just been faffing around with the computer trying to get it to sort itself out. We've just done a conference call, and I think the camera's tied up still with that. Just rebooted, and I'm just going to see if I can just go live, but yeah, really sorry. It's 15 minutes late now. So, Chris, what have you done this week?
Nothing as exciting as this. Honestly, it's... Yeah, we were having a conference call with the speed aside.
1 minute, 58 seconds.
So that started late, so it made us late, and obviously they're still having the
2
meeting.
minutes, 7 seconds.
Oh,
Live
just...
2 minutes, 9 seconds.
Doesn't matter if it's late.
So anyway, we're here now. Right. So, Nicola, what have you got written down for some topics?
Well, we've not shown the board yet.
Oh, well, you'll have to hold the phone.
I'm holding the phone. So,
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if anybody watches The Big Bang, but when Sheldon Cooper and Dr. Amy Farrah Fowler
2 minutes, 47 seconds.
do their Fun with Flags, they have a whiteboard. So, yeah,
2
Fun with
minutes,
Flags.
56
So we've got At Home with the Fishers, episode 2, and 3 Little Fishes. So, yeah, and I'll just show you my screen.
3 minutes, 8 seconds.
I scheduled
3
the
minutes, 12
stream,
seconds.
and now I'm stuck with this, and it won't let
3
me start
minutes, 19
anything.
seconds.
So, yeah, there you go. You can put that down now.
Thank you.
Good to go. Yeah.
3 minutes,
like
29
Laurel and Hardy.
seconds.
Not that good.
It's not. Well, this isn't good with this keep coming up, is it?
Well, hold on. Dare I try and turn voiceover off?
Go on. Try it.
Hold on. Are we still there?
Yeah, go for it. Right.
Right, well, I've turned off the accessibility option. So, Nicola, have you not got a monopod or a gorilla pod anywhere? Or no. If I leave Nicola with you, I'm gonna go and get the tripod from the workshop. Be back in a minute. Hey,
Okay.
hey, you're living the dream now, folks.
It's live.
It's live.
So anyway, let me tell you what we've done this week. We had Radio 4 here last Thursday, and it's a programme on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. It may be on tomorrow, we're not sure. But if it is on tomorrow, it's 8 o'clock, and it's a programme called In Touch with a guy called Tom Walker. So he came to interview Chris in his workshop, and I didn't hear what they were talking about, but I heard the lathe going. So I think he wanted lots of sound effects. And so, yeah, they chatted, and hopefully it'll be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So Tom had some lunch with us. We had a chat about what he does. He's visually impaired. He's been visually impaired all his life, and he is a journalist, a freelance journalist, and he does a lot of programs and broadcasts. And I think he might write and does podcasts as well. But it's all about disability. That's his main focus. So if that goes live, I'll let you know. We'll post somewhere so that you can listen to that. So, the other big news is Chris is now well over 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. Potential, I think it's around about 7,200. So thank you very much to everybody. You're just gonna lose me now for a minute.
Hello, everybody.
But thank you very much to everybody who has helped with that. It's made a big difference, and we've had lots of comments from people who've come from other channels, and it's just very nice.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It truly has. So we touched on that. Am I there?
Yeah.
Listen, folks, excuse me, but I'm having a drink. Bayek, do you need one when you're blind? Oh,
So
need one when you're not blind. So yeah,
you talk for a bit, and I'll try and get this on my phone. I can see the comments.
thank you so very much, everybody, for all your continued support and that big push we've had over the past couple of weeks. It's been amazing. We're actually over 4,000 watched hours now as well. So this time next year, I'll be £5.50 richer. So that's pretty cool. Right, anyway, I'm going to start properly.
Yes.
Let's have a discussion. Your thoughts on whether to use carbide or not. And as you know, I'm quite the user of carbide tools through necessity, really. I can feel Nicola chuckling again. It's really weird.
Sorry.
So it's something I use and I'm very fond with, but I do use traditional tools. And I started on traditional tools, and I still think it's important that newbies to wood turning learn how to ride the bevel and have very safe bevel contact and good tool control with traditional tools. However, I do think there is a very serious place for carbide tools, and me personally using carbide tools, it does allow me to claw back some of that time that I lose to sighted wood turners. So I know there are obviously devotees of, and I'm going to do this, traditional, what I'm doing is the inverted commas around the word traditional. There are the serious devotees of traditional high speed steel tools, but I do detect sometimes a bit of I don't know, people taking the moral high ground when this discussion is sort of like started. So and I've been asked a couple of times doing demonstrations, oh, why don't you use traditional tools? And you can just hear it, and you know, it's you know, they're asking a valid question, but you can hear slightly in their tone of voice that they're, oh, you know, you're not a proper wood turner because you don't use traditional tools. Well, I can. The only one that I really shy away from, but I do use it as sort of like a scraper.
Okay, let me just give you some comments.
Hold on, is the skew chisel. Cool.
Wayne the Woodturner says they both have their place, but I only use carbide for hollowing.
Yeah.
JP says surely traditional is what you learned on. So if you learned on carbide, that to you is traditional turning.
Yep. Good point there, Jamie.
Cy Smith says, could you explain the difference between the two for someone that doesn't know?
Right, the difference is traditional tools are made out of high-speed steel. They have a flute, so the main metal shaft of the gouge, it's fluted, so it is concave as you look down it, and at the end it has a beveled, obviously an angle, and then you have the cutting edge. So you have to be presenting the tool correctly with the bevel angle, sort of like following the cutting edge to provide a safe, efficient cut. So carbide tools are modern carbide cutters that are interchangeable, replaceable. You can sharpen them on a diamond stone, and in my opinion, a great addition to any woodturner's toolbox. The thing that when people do say to me, oh, you should, oh, traditional this and that, the thing that really sort of like makes me scratch my head is, well, you know, you're there saying to me, oh, why don't you use traditional tools? And these are the people that have got, you know, smartphones and laptops, and you know, if you could transport to our time now a wood turner from 350 years ago, 400 years ago, and they were using pole and treadle lathes with hook tools, would they be dismissing and laughing at the guys now that will solely use HSS and traditional gouges? So,
shall I give you some more comments?
Yeah.
Leona says, whatever tool does the job, never mind the snobbery from the wood turning elitist.
Yeah.
Steve says, I use both now. The right tool is the one that does the job the most effective and comfortable way for you. And JP agrees.
Yes, I that is really, in a nutshell, what I think about it. Although I do know that people have come across as you know, a bit hoity-toity. That's not anything derogatory to them. They're not being nasty, but you know, that's what we're discussing on this podcast. Your views and opinions on the subject, and it was just something that I thought we could mention on tonight's podcast. You know, love them or loathe them, I think they're here to stay. They're gaining in popularity, and yes, I still use traditional tools. The only one that I probably really wouldn't want to pick up is the skew chisel. But like I say, I do use it, but just really as a scraper on certain jobs. But yes, I thought I would just mention that. So thanks everybody so far for your... Nicola's chuckling again.
Right, I'm just going to say hello to everybody.
Okay.
Right, so Leona Fay, JP Woodwork, Wayne the Woodturner.
Hi everybody.
Temple Boy Turnings.
That's Bamba.
That's Bamba crashing into a bookcase. Right, where was I? JP Woodwork, Ruboa Arts, Deborah Beardall, Giuseppe Legnami.
Way, hi Joe.
Well, it says, hi from Joe and Chris. We are sitting with Angelo too. MP Sniper. Oh, Steve said, you know, you're living the dream when you rely on a blind man to go find a camera tripod. Who else?
It's the one that I use in the
Smith.
workshop. Yeah.
So JP says, and electric lathes as opposed to the traditional pedal lathe. Cy Smith says, I thought carbide was just a type of metal, not necessarily a different type of tool. Deborah says, I have 2 carbide tools and a few traditional tools. It's what works best to get the job done.
Yeah.
Don't blame Bamba. Carbide has come on a long way. They just used to be scrapers, but now design change and shape made them more of a cutting tool. So,
well, yeah, yes. The carbide, my custom tools that Wagga Potter has made for me, you know, I have the cupped carbide for hollowing out. I have specially designed shear cutters. I have general purpose. I have the detail ones. So yeah, really, you know, it's sort of like there is a carbide cutter now for every job. But I do think it's important that new wood turners do learn the basics of tool control and safety with HSS. And if 4 weeks down the line they say, oh, well, let me just have a go of carbide, and then they do, and then they go, wow, that is the future for me, and they never touch HSS again, that's fine. You know, they've made their own choice and decision, and all power to them, and may they have a wonderful wood turning journey with their carbide. Yes.
Live Accessible says, hi everyone, love your channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry we're late.
RG Turns, if anyone gives you a hard time about using carbide, they're just jealous. They are a big investment, but such a dream to work with. MP Sniper, can we see your lovely dog, please?
Bamber.
He's gone downstairs, I think.
Come on. Bam Bam.
Here he comes.
Come on. So, yeah.
Watch the door, he's coming up.
Bamber. Come here. Right, mate.
Oh, he's got a bone.
Oh, he's been for a toy. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, and there are videos on the Blind Woodturner channel with Bamber, and there's also clips on our media page on the website filmed by Shearer that came here from CNN and Al Jazeera. There is film footage of Bamber on more mainstream media. He's 3 years old and a week-ish.
5th of April.
5th of April. He's a 3-year-old full German Shepherd. He was bred to be a guide dog, or over the pond a seeing eye dog, and his father is actually an American German, well, seeing eye dog over there. His father is American, and he's called Elvis. So yeah, his dad is he's American. Thank you very much.
So the next topic that I think we'll talk about is audio description. So this week, JP did a scroll saw picture of Bamber, which we watched. Well, we've watched it a couple of times, haven't we?
Well, you described what Jamie was doing.
Yeah.
And obviously, luckily, Jamie, you were describing you know, that you drilled holes, obviously, for starting points on the board, where you could thread the blade through and then start cutting your design and doing your piece of art. So, audio description. Yeah.
Well, I thought the piece was amazing, and we can't wait to see it in real life. It's I don't know how long it took you, but it must have taken you ages. So, audio description, it's an interesting thing. We have a Fire TV with Alexa, and there's a lot of audio described programs. 10 hours, oh my God.
Love you, man. I love everybody. I mean, I love everybody, I really do, and I've got so many friends and followers that I all truly love. But it's
that was just the cutting.
Yeah, that is some serious work. Thank you. I can't wait to feel it. And obviously, I'm gonna, you know, what can I say? Yeah, thank you so very much, Jamie. Audio description. Can I just add there the Fire TV? Yeah, a lot of programs are audio described, not as many as there should be. Every program has subtitles, but it's still relatively few that have audio description. Although more are coming online. And I think the thing is that subtitles, you just have someone there with a keyboard and they're just sort of like, it's like taking the minutes at a meeting. Whereas audio description, they do have to actually write a separate script describing detail on what's going on. Describe what's going on in detail to the person that's blind. Another good thing though about the Fire TV is that once it's set up, and it's called Voice View on Fire TV as opposed to Voice Over on the iPhone, as I'm navigating all of the menus, sub-menus, it's describing everything to me. So it'll tell me what program it is, how long it's on for, the cast that are in it, and you can, and on the Prime, Amazon Prime, you can even go into sort of like trivia about the cast and characters, and it's all described, and it's with the remote control, it's voice activated, and through your TV then I can, using the voice activation, I can access my audio books, weather, news, music. So there's a crossover, a compliance between the Amazon Alexa Echo Dots that we've got 3 of, the TV. You bought me a Fire TV tablet as well, so that's fully accessible. So it's massive. Yeah, I've set. In fact, we can hear Alexa downstairs now, or it could be in our bedroom talking. But yeah, massive independence boost for the blind and visually impaired.
So that wasn't really the question though. The Jamie said, how can you audio describe video so that it's of more interest to you? So it's quite difficult doing audio description. It takes a while to get into it, and sometimes I sort of, when we watch The Big Bang a lot, and it's picking up on people's expressions. It's a tiny detail. I think, how would you want someone to describe a project to you?
It's as much information as you can, and I'd just keep talking. It's, you know, as you're doing it, and you will naturally know when to pause and just concentrate on a cut for 30 seconds and not speak. And then it becomes natural to, right, I'm doing this and doing that. When I'm doing demonstrations and doing my videos, I'm talking the process through, because it helps with my visual imagery, not visual, mental imagery. So the more I talk on demonstrations, because I'm having to concentrate on so much, the more it helps my mental imagery as the pictures are all forming in my mind. So I would just suggest, talk as much as you can, and don't worry about, would this be important to him or not. You know, just,
it's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
The whole picture.
And it's when I'm listening to a TV program or a film or a YouTube video where there is good levels of narrative, it's like reading a book. You build up images in your mind, and everybody does it. When you pick up a paperback and you're reading one of your favourite books, and there might never have been a film made about it, but you build up these pictures, don't you, of what the characters look like. And
it's like radio. Jamie's saying it's easy with wood turning as you can relate, but harder with crafts you might not be familiar with.
Well, look, yeah, some things I'll put on a YouTube video, and the description or the title, thought, wow, this sounds interesting, and after 30 seconds I've had to say, well, this is telling me nothing. I've got to turn it off, because it's, for a sighted person, they're getting as much information as they could possibly need just by looking at it. This is why your eyesight is so important. And a portion of your brain dies. Up to 30% of the brain is not needed when you lose your eyesight. So that might account for a lot. So yeah, audio description, it's super important, but I would also say that don't worry too much about, you know, wood, especially if you're asking the question, Jamie. If you were going to do a video for me, just talk your way through what you're doing. Don't think too hard about what would Chris find important here. Just describe exactly what you're doing.
Steve says, what YouTube makers can you suggest that you've listened to and find their format helpful?
Well, we're listening to what you on about? You on about makers or just
You said
anybody?
makers. What
Makers.
YouTube makers?
Well, I'm going to say.
DeResta.
Well, Jimmy DeResta. When Jimmy DeResta does his vlogs, so it's like DeResta number 78, 79. It's cool because he'll talk about what he's done that week and where he's been and things like that. But Jimmy's sort of like time lapse videos go like this.
This is my favourite bit. Go on.
So that is, now that to me, and a lot of people do time lapse, but you know what? Because I'm such a huge Jimmy DeResta fan, I love listening to. I will sit there and listen to Jimmy's maker videos, not his vlogs, and try to work out what machine it is by this, it's faster than the speed of light sound effect. This. I'm trying to think, is that an angle grinder or is it his table saw? So I get quite a kick out of stuff like that in a strange way. Yeah, right, pal. Bamba's back. Can hear his tail wagging.
There's ha 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 chuckles. Steve says ah ha ha spot on. MP Sniper, was that real? Lol, I've got tears of laughter. LMAO.
Yeah,
JP.
it was real and
Brilliant.
Yeah, now normally, that's telling me nothing, but because it's Sir Jimmy of Rester, I will I'll put up with it because I'm such a huge fan of Jimmy's, and when you're a huge fan of somebody, it's like, yeah, I'll put up with this and listen to it for 15 minutes because it makes me smile. Simple as that. And yeah, but there's lots of videos out there that do it.
I get Chris to do that for me every now and again.
And guess what? I'm going to do it for Jimmy at Maker Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So don't tell him this is a secret.
Yeah. Yeah. Audio description, of course, it's massively important to me. And that's it's getting better. And when you go to the cinema, of course, you can go to an audio described showing of the feature where you're given a headset that is Bluetooth enabled. So you're sat there with a big set of headphones on and you can still hear the normal dialogue, but there is a guy or a gal describing what's going on in between the dialogue. The guy. Well, you put it on your TVs and have a listen. But it's when the dialogue stops in the film, it would say, and the guy turns around to his car and the car's blue. Things like that. So, even though that was a bit juvenile, I wouldn't be able to know that his car was blue. But he'll say things like that. The car is blue with huge chrome wheel trims and things like that. So. They point everything out like that. So,
Steve says, I think it's a great thought to have in mind as a maker of video to consider the blind. Yeah, and statistically, the number of visually impaired people is on the increase.
Aging population.
Yeah, aging population, health issues. So it is a good one to take into account. Because it could mean that your channel is of greater interest to a wider group of people. Mm-hmm. JP says, I'll take my video and do a voiceover for you and email it to you. Oh, the Bamba one. That's kind. Nice, thank you.
But yeah, it's the technology's there now. It exists and it's so accessible. And I have got so much tech, and the amount, sort of like the hater comments you're getting. How can he possibly know that because he's blind? Well, they have not obviously seen it. they've seen one video on my channel, and if they went back a few months, they'd see me doing an optic nerve video where I'm showing using the iPhone or Be My Eyes or the Pen Friend and things like that. So the technology is amazing. And when I went blind, they asked me at college, because I was doing a cookery course for the blind, if I wanted to do Braille, and it's about a 5-year full-time course. And I thought, well, no, I can think of better ways to spend my time, to be honest. And the technology exists where you can get by now without having to know Braille.
Steve says his next edited video he's going to try changing his format. Live Accessible says yes, it can be tricky to add audio description. I did that for my last video and it takes a while, but it is definitely important. Braille never had that dish. Steve says yet again the Fishers inspire change.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, whilst we're on sort of talking a bit about Bamba, one of the things that happens a lot when we go out, we get a lot of people who come over and go coochie coo to Bamba and want to say hello and stroke him. And invariably we get into a discussion about how old is Bamba and how long did you train him and what's the process. So I thought it might be interesting just to talk about that. So you can fill in the gaps, but a guide dog starts training at about 6 weeks old. It goes and stays with a variety of puppy walkers who take the puppy out to acclimatise it in different situations, and it's trained then up to the age of 18 months, and then around 18 months it's paired with a blind person.
I'll just interject.
Go on.
Yeah, it spends time with puppy walkers, and sometimes it's sort of like fostered out to families to be integrated into a family atmosphere. But there are also professional dog trainers, and the dog trainer that works for the guide dogs will go and pick the guide dog in training up from the puppy walker's house, and they go out then and do the serious stuff. So the guide dog is being trained by qualified guide dog trainers. Puppy walkers are a different thing. Puppy walkers do not sort of like train guide dogs. They give the guide dog love, real world awareness, puts them in different situations and environments. It's sort of like it is training in a way, but there are qualified guide dog trainers, and then there are instructors that train the blind person or the person that's visually impaired together with their dog. So carry on.
So Bamba came to us when he was about 18 months old, and the people from Guide Dogs, they came and they said they found a match for Chris, and it's very much based on things like build. So obviously Chris is extremely slim, so you know it was.
Thanks. So yeah, I needed a Chihuahua really.
Yeah, but you got Bamba. It's based on things like your stride, how fast you walk,
my character, my personality.
And Bamba was matched with Chris partly because Bamba's quite cheeky, and he doesn't always do what he's told first time. So that was part of the rationale for that.
Yeah.
And then once we'd got Bamba, you were at home then for about 10 days.
I wasn't allowed out.
So they could just go in the garden and just sort of play in the house, stay at home. And then after that, Chris did some residential training. 10 days of residential training where it was solid training. So you can say what you did on that.
Yeah, you have board and lodgings in a hotel, which wasn't that far from here, and that's really, although you've just had the 10 days bonding with your guide dog, that is where the serious training starts. And your guide dog sleeps in your room, you're giving him his breakfast and his evening meals, taking him out to do his ablutions, his toilet stuff, you're grooming him, and then the day really starts at about 9 a.m. till tea time. And you're out on the streets, you're doing lots and lots of different exercises. Obviously, there's a lot of vocal commands, there's body language, foot positions. You're doing all the different exercises using pedestrian crossings, going up and down stairs, going into shopping centres, cafes, restaurants, on the bus, all that sort of stuff. You're not allowed any visitors while you're training on your residential course. It is you and your dog and the instructors. It is very, very immersive, very tiring. You get back to your room at night after your meal and think, how am I going to remember that for tomorrow? And you're in this strange place that not alone can you not see, that you've never been to before anyway. And, it's completely unfamiliar. They do exercises like, they tell you to cross the road, and then one of the instructors drives their car at you, and your guide dog has to perform an emergency stop. And also, if you're on the curb and the car's coming, the instructor says, right, go, and you tell your dog to go, and your dog doesn't go. He knows there's a vehicle there, so he won't step off the curb. Your guide dog knows when there's obstacles on the pavement, cars parked on there, and the gap is restrictive. There's wheelie bins all over the place. I can ask Bamba to find a button, and when I'm outside, he'll take me to a pedestrian crossing. If I say the same phrase to him in a building, find the button, he knows to look for an elevator or a lift, as we call it here. He alerts me of a curb being there. He stops there. It's just amazing what he can do. And they've said that Bamba would not have worked with anybody else. It was such a great pairing, and he's such a big, powerful, strong dog. You could just imagine Bamba with, a blind person that's getting on in years. You could take them by surprise because of his sheer strength. But we're a match made in heaven, and he's very cheeky but so clever. And when he's harnessed up and he's in work mode, it's absolutely, it's a joy and an honour and a privilege to be his owner. Yeah. Are you listening? Wherever you are.
MP Sniper said, should you retrain Bamba regularly?
No, what we have is every year we have an aftercare visit. So they come out and is everything okay and how's he been? And then with your guide dog, at the end of your training, you do your qualification walk, which is a bit like your driving test, but with your guide dog. And when you pass that, you're allowed to keep your harness. You do a refresher of that once a year to make sure that I've not fallen into any bad habits. Because it's all about safety and getting to where you need to be as quickly and as safely as possible. So they just come out once a year. It's approximately about an hour visit. So it's quite an anxious time because you think, flipping heck, what's going to happen if I'm not on my game, or Bamba's on his game? Are they going to say, all right, that's it, it's coming? But it's nothing really to worry about. Just do your thing and everything will be fine. My last aftercare visit, luckily Bamba was spot on. It was a faultless walk, and the guide dog instructors hide behind hedges and behind walls. So if Bamba sees Louise, is my guide dog instructor, if he sees Alison, if he sees Alison, he'd be like, whoa, friend. So they hide so as not to distract him. But anyway, let me just briefly touch on, if I may, guide dog etiquette.
Right, well, before you do, Leona says, this may have been answered already, sorry if I missed it. No, it's not been answered, but is it okay for people to pet Bamba when he's not working? And the Beard times 16 says, when our Care Bear has his harness on, he's at work, but people still try to pet him.
Right. Yeah. Shall I carry on now?
Yeah, you can go now.
It's always best to ask the guide dog owner first. It's not really good or advised to just come up to the dog, working or not, and go, "Hey, how are you doing?" and fuss over the dog. Always ask the handler or owner's permission first. And if the harness is in the hand of the blind person, never engage or interact, because really that dog is working at that exact moment. I've been working Bambra, walking down the street, and people have been walking past. All right, mate, how you doing? And that could be very dangerous, because if Bambra, took it on himself to drag you across the road when a bus was coming, it can get pretty serious pretty fast. So they are trying to promote more interaction between guide dogs, their owners, and members of the public. If you see a blind person that is static with their dog and the handle is down, ask, and I never refuse. I always like to let people say hello and pat Bambra and ask about how he is, but always ask. Never just go up to the dog and start interacting with the dog. Always ask permission. Never feed them.
I think as well, what I always find interesting, and I think this happens with a lot of people with disabilities, but especially when you've got a dog, people come up and talk to Bambra. Sometimes they don't even bother talking to us, and they'll just sort of stroke Bambra and say, "What a lovely dog," and go away.
Or they say to Nicola, "Don't even ask me." "Oh, he's lovely. How old is he?" And I'm thinking, Christ, I'm here. Ask me. I've got all the answers. He's my dog.
Yeah.
And it's that typical, always blind. Ask his wife, "How old is he? What's his name?" And I can tell by the way that the sound is projected from someone's mouth, if it's directed at me or not.
Yeah.
So I know, well, why couldn't you have asked me that? My dog.
If you're coming to Baker Central, when Chris is doing his demos, no doubt I'll be looking after Bambra. So, you can pet him and say hello. And if Chris has got him when he's not turning, then, that'll be absolutely fine as well. Leona, how many sleeps is it? So, yeah, the beard times 16 said our dog is an assistance dog. It says it on his harness, but people can be really ignorant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can.
JP said, Nicola says in his 40s he's had the dog a while now. Never mind Bambra, how long did it take to train Chris, Nicola?
Still
a
in
work
training.
In progress.
You can't tame me. You can't tame me. No.
So, should we talk about Paris?
Let's talk about Paris. Right, I touched on it briefly last week. Nicola studied and worked in Paris. She's a big Francophile, and she is she's in love with the place. Really, always has been. So take it away.
I know it's a while since I've been to Paris. It's a few years now. I lived in Paris, and it's going back a bit, 1984-85, when I was at the Sorbonne. And of all the years of my life, it's probably one of the most magical. Living in Paris is completely different to visiting. It's just that it's sort of like you get underneath the surface of Paris. You're just really scratching the surface when you're a visitor. I don't know when it would have been. It was probably February, March of, it would have been 1985. Somebody told me, and I can't remember who, that Bill Murray was in Paris. He'd just made Ghostbusters, and that was out at the cinema. So I saw Ghostbusters in French. Or was it in English with French subtitles? It might have been in English with French subtitles.
Did you read the French subtitles?
Yeah, because there was quite a lot of slang and colloquialisms, so it was interesting to see the French. I remember one word was sapelipopette, and it's just, you know, sort of quite bizarre words that come up because of the colloquialisms and the slang. So I saw that with I looked after 3 children when I was in Paris in exchange for my board and lodging. So we went to see Ghostbusters. But Bill Murray was in Paris filming The Razor's Edge, a Somerset Maugham story. And I saw that in a cinema on the Champs-Élysées. But I kept hearing, oh, I've seen Bill Murray here and Bill Murray's there and this, that and the other. So I was trying to track him down. Actually, I'll tell you what I have got. It's probably in this one. I was trying to track him down so I could get his autograph because I collected autographs at the time. And I couldn't find him. People kept giving me these tips of where he was. And then one day I was stood at the bottom of some steps and Bill Murray just walked down the steps. And so I sort of went after him and said hello and asked him to sign my autograph book. And then after that, it was really bizarre. I just kept bumping into him. It was in May. I think it was about May.
You're stalking him.
I wasn't stalking him. Okay, so it was, bear in mind it was Easter. That's the entry in my autograph book, and it says Merry Christmas, Bill Murray. So that was the first time I spoke to him. And about, I think it was the 8th of May, it was a D-Day celebration or something like that. I was walking up the Champs-Élysées, and the Champs-Élysées was pretty much packed with people from side to side. And I was walking up the middle, and almost coming directly at me was Bill Murray. So I said hello, and then I saw him near Notre Dame, and he offered me a piece of his cake. So that was my claim to fame with Bill Murray. But it was, I don't know, Paris just had so many little magical moments. At that point, there were a lot of street performers, and they were doing things like having a puppet that looked like a violinist, and they'd play to music. And I remember seeing one guy, it was not far from where I lived, and it was down a back street, and he was stood in a parking space, and there were people sort of trying to get in the parking space, and the French people were saying, no, you can't park there, this guy's doing this performance. And he really was unbelievable. I can remember that. So sorry to ask, what was your major? It was French. Notre Dame, that is. Can't believe it. OMG, it's gone. Can't believe it. Notre Dame being on fire. Oh, I didn't know that. I've not seen that. What else have we got? Still saving to get up and see you. Has Chris signed your autograph book yet? It's better get it quick before he comes big time on the YouTubes. Yeah. So yeah, Paris was just an amazing.
Can you remember the name of the road you lived on?
Yeah, Rue de Condé.
Say it louder for the.
I lived on Rue de Condé, number 5. It was an apartment. It was owned by a journalist who wrote for Paris Match, and I think she wrote for Le Figaro as well. And I looked after her 3 children.
Was she a Contessa?
She was a countess, and her family had a chateau.
Where was that?
Fontenay-le-Vicomte, which was, I can't remember, it's about an hour out of Paris, I think. And we used to go there sometimes at weekends. And we stayed in sort of a cottage next to the chateau. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And had barbecues and stuff like that. So
It's on our to-do list to
It
go to
is,
Paris
yeah.
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course you've got Shakespeare and Co, which is the famous bookshop near Notre Dame, and they have really good stationery in France. There's a stationer's that all the students use called Gilbert Jeune. So I used to go in there and buy lots of stationery.
Your love of coffee, does that stem from Paris, or did you like it seriously before?
No, because I think I drank a lot of tea when I lived in Paris.
Oh, right, okay.
Because they did vanilla tea, and they did a really good vanilla tea.
Okay.
So I think I was drinking tea more than anything. I think the coffee thing's kind of.
But you said the best
Evolved.
steak and chips ever.
Oh yeah, that was a few years ago. That was probably around about 2006, 2007. And we went in a place to eat, and they did steak and chips, and oh my god, it was just the best. It really was absolutely the best steak I've ever had. It was just perfect.
Yeah, well, we'll go there. Have
Yeah,
steak and fries.
yeah, steak frite.
Mm.
So what else shall we talk about?
Whatever you want.
Have we got? Let me just see. Do we know how many sleeps it is to make a central Leona? Let me
Too
just
many.
see. I've been to France many times, but never been close to Paris. Did you ever eat traditional French food like frogs' legs and snails? Oh yes, yes. Frogs' legs is very like chicken.
I've had frog legs, not had snails.
Yeah, snails, just a bit rubbery and gritty. Yeah, I had frog's legs when I was 16, when I went to stay with a pen friend who lived in Paris. And we had that, and we had dandelion leaves as well. That was something I had over there. Yeah, Leona says 27 sleeves,
That's
possibly.
Cool. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I tell you what, let's ask you some ridiculous questions.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like being blind?
It's weird, and it's challenging, and it's frightening, and it's lonely, and it's funny, and it's inspiring, and it is motivating, and it's every emotion you could possibly think of. And like here in the UK, we can have 4 seasons in one day. Being blind, you can go through every emotion you could think of in a day. You can start off the day really positive, which you do. You get up out of bed, fine, you know, you go to the bathroom, get washed, get dressed, go downstairs, smash a pint of milk, cut your thumb open, walk into a door, trip up on the way out, and then you start thinking, OMG, you know, it's one of them days. Yeah, sometimes it can be, yeah, well, it's everything from hilarious to downright shambolic. It just depends, and this is why you just have to not worry about it and wake up and face each day and get on with it.
So, what's the worst thing about being blind?
I'd say it's two really, and even though I still maintain I don't want my eyesight back, but the worst thing about being blind for me is probably not being able to, you know, be truly independent. You know, not just being able to get in the car or on a motorcycle and go and do what I want to do when I want to do it. It's being heavily reliant on others. That's very frustrating. I find that really frustrating. What was the question? What was it?
What's the worst thing about being blind?
Yeah, what I've just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, a funny question. What's the best thing about being blind?
That's that sense of achievement you get when you do something and you get it nailed and you go, there you go, I've done that. That was a huge problem. I've worked the problem. I've solved it, and I've got the answer. You know, that's such a great sense of achievement. You know, it's euphoric. It's like wood turning. You know, to master that and be able to wood turn with no sight, you feel euphoric. You know, when you've pulled something off, a new technique, and you know, with the power carving and the colouring and the texturing and things like that. Yeah, the best thing is beating the challenge that was there in front of you.
Okay, so let's see. Has anybody got any comments? When the Woodturner 7 working days till retirement. Woohoo! MP Sniper, don't make me cry. Great answers. If you were going to take up another skill other than wood turning, what would it be?
That's a tough one. There's so many things I'd like to do. Another skill.
Well, you've got your welding, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I really need to do more welding, and get more proficient at that, and just really get my head dialed in as to laying down some good welds, and yeah, I think it's welding really.
Stand-up comedian, Steve says.
Yeah, or sit-down comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, any job vacancies for sit-down comedian.
Yeah. So, shall we give a shout out to Maker Central?
Yes, big shout out, seeing as we've been talking about it. A big shout out and a plug for Maker Central. Now, it was a great event last year, better than great, it was amazing. So a big shout out to Nick and his team for putting it on again this year and letting us all to indulge in our maker geekiness. So it's really cool. Yeah, please do your best to get there, and if you can, there'll be a multitude, I'm sure, of videos recorded at the event, so check them out. Yeah, come and say hi.
Yeah, and if we don't know you, oh, you've got low battery on here. If we don't know you, do come and tell us who you are, and just come and grab us if you see us wandering about and we don't know you. Lindsay Gardner said, if you were taking up something else, it would have to be something tactile like pottery. And JP Woodwork says he'll come and teach you how to scroll saw.
No, thanks. That is the one activity where I would end up in casualty. I better go and get a battery charger.
I might be able to. Oops, let me see.
If you can pass it to me,
You plug this one in.
otherwise it'll go. Is it plugged in that at the socket?
It's in the back of the computer.
I'm trying to find the.
Did you all hear Nick say in his latest video that he hopes Heath can make it next year? Really hope there's going to be another one. Oh right, because I'd heard that this was going to be the last one.
Well, they said that months and months ago, but hopefully it's not the last one.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be good if it's not.
Mm.
Because we were going to just go full out for this one. weren't
No, well, we need to go out full out every year. I mean, yeah, we dropped the ball.
Deborah Beardall says she's got their tickets for Sunday, not been before, looking forward to going. Leona says, yeah, he said it was the last, but then there was what seemed like a slip of the tongue. JP, Nick is meant to be making an announcement at the show too. Right, cool. So, I mentioned Radio 4 at the beginning.
All right, okay, yeah. Tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow evening.
Yeah, we've not heard anything. We're also hoping with the podcast to have some guests on as well. So that's something that's in the pipeline. Possibly some other blind artisans. And I think we might have frozen. Other makers too. So watch this space.
Have we frozen?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sorry, I think we've frozen, but you guys seem to still be there, so hopefully you can still hear us. But I think we might have kind of come to a natural end. Have you got anything else you want to add?
No, just.
Oh no, we're back now. We're back in the room.
Back in the room. No, it's just it's we're really enjoying these podcasts, and once we get things.
Get the technology now.
Yeah, luckily there won't be another trustees meeting now for a while for the Speed of Sight. I've told the Speed of Sight about the bowl that I turned, the Chilean laurel burl that is earmarked for them to raise some funds, much needed funds. So
yeah, so the bowl that Chris made is going to be auctioned to raise funds for Speed of Sight. So it's oh yeah, I will do, Steve, thank you. It's likely that the auction will be mentioned on Chris's channel rather than Speed of Sight, but we just need to have a chat with them about that. So Speed of Sight is a very small charity, and they do live a bit hand to mouth. It's very hard raising funds for charities, and we try and do as much as we can to help them. So this is just something that we're trying to do to help. But what they do is they give driving experiences to people with disabilities, so it can be all sorts of things. Yeah, it's just really to help that. Yeah, tomorrow Chris is doing a live stream at 7:30.
yes. Now what I'm going to do is I won't be turning, but what I'm going to be doing is I'll be having a go at engraving wood with stencils and seeing what sort of level of accuracy I can get and effects. So I need as many people as I can there out in YouTube land giving me help and advice and tips. So it'll be my first time doing it tomorrow. I did a little bit of texturing for that Christmas tree I did for Joe Kretschmer at Christmas.
Yeah.
To simulate sort of like the leaves and the foliage, but to sort of like I've got some stencils. They're sort of like kiddie stencils, but there are some I did get a book of leaf stencils.
Yeah.
So I want to practice using the engraver, and it's the same engraver. Well, one of the same engravers that Nick Agar's got, and he let me use at his workshop. So I'll be using a stencil to assist me, and so we're doing some wood engraving, and it's it's like it's the hammer action. It's not a rotary tool; it's a vibrating,
Oh, right,
pulsing.
yeah.
So we'll be doing some engraving, foliage shapes,
Yeah.
leaves,
Yeah.
which is obviously applicable to wood.
And Steve's going to be helping with facilitating the chat as well for us, which will be a huge help.
That's cool, thank you.
Wagger says, hello you three, hope you are all fine and well. Yes, hope you are too.
Hi Wagger.
Hope you're all well. So, any more?
Right, we just need to address this podcast that we've done here on my channel.
Yeah.
You know, is that going to be accessible?
I will download it and I will put it on
Our
at
channel.
Home with the Fishers.
Right, okay.
So I will do it. I don't know what happened, Steve. I might just need to have a chat with you. I'd scheduled the podcast for tonight, but when I went to it at 7:30, it was saying that we didn't have a camera accessible and it wasn't going live and all sorts of
You
stuff.
see, in my opinion, it's much easier, like I do when I'm live streaming with my phone.
Yeah.
I just go on my YouTube channel, click on go live, give it a title description, it takes a photograph, we're live. It's about 3 steps.
Yeah.
It's much easier just to do it on the night. All this scheduling business and oh yeah, it's counting down and then it didn't work. You might as well just do it on the spur of the moment. You know, next Monday at 7:30 p.m. UK time, go on At Home with the Fishers, hit record, bippity boppity boop, off you go.
That's what we're doing. Bippity boppity boop.
Yeah.
Right then.
Okay.
So we will be back next Monday.
7:30 p.m.
7:30.
Yeah. Minus the glitches.
Yeah, Steve says, oh, shut up, blind man. We like our tech, Steve. I like my tech to work. I get frustrated when I know it should be doing something and it doesn't. Right, so...
Yeah, but it was the blind man that had to get his phone fired up, get the tripod out and sort it. Technology. It's like Scotty says.
Beam me up.
No. I'm going to paraphrase, but he says basically what he's saying is the more complicated the plumbing gets, the easier it is to block up the drains.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Technology's great, but honestly, it can take so long sometimes to do these simple things.
Right
so
then, it's been wonderful. You know that Nicola and I thank you, and very dearly from the bottom of our hearts for all your support. Long may it continue. Don't give up on us now. We're just going. So it's probably approaching 9 o'clock, is it?
10 to.
I've got to put the bins out.
Yeah. And then PJ time.
Pajamas and a gin and tonic.
I'll be having a tea.
So thank you all so very much for hanging out with us. Yeah, Nicola will get all this downloaded and put on At Home with the Fishers.
Yeah.
And it will be then up on Spotify. And we're still waiting for a authorization from iTunes, but it can take up to 2 weeks.
Yeah. So the podcast is on SoundCloud, Spotify, and ultimately iTunes. So yeah, that technology does work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoy our little chats and look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow at 7:30 for the Blind Woodturner Live.
Yeah, some engraving fun in the workshop. So I'm just going to get all hands in front of the camera now, everybody, while I'm just feeling for the off buttons. So thank you so very much. Keep on turning, keep on rocking. and love you all very much. Until the next time, tomorrow night. Bye.
Bye.